So Korea is a peninsula with a mountain range and watershed crest running down the eastern side from Baekdu Mountain to in the north to Chirisan. 이거 그 백두대강이라고 그 높은 산 이제 그 등산하는 사람들 열심히 하는 사람들 이렇게 등산해요. 그래서 이거 보면은 뭐 나무인지 호랑이인지 어쨌든 우리 한국말 모르는 사람 있나? 없지. 이 한반도 이 백두대간 덕분에 하나 그 일치감이 있어요. 그 백두산에서 한라산까지, 뭐 지리산, 한라산까지 쭉. 그래서 이 한반도의 그 하나 한국 역사 물론 이제 와서 갈라진 역사 있지만 아주 한반도의 산 보면은 한반도 하나이다. 뭐 희망 있죠. 백두산 가봤어요?
네.
가봤어요? 네. 나도 난 2번 갔어요. 난 천지도 한 번 못 보고 한 번 잘 보고. 물론 우리 그 중국 동화야. 아까 고은 선생님 얘기했는데 고은 옛날 북한에서 저쪽 들어왔어요. 한라산 올라간 사람 있어? 겁대기까지? 해야지. 젊은 사람. 난 못해. 한라산도 아름답고 한라산도 그래서 이 두 가지 그 화산, 볼케이노 물론 백두산 어느 날 다시 폭발도 할 수 있고 한라산 완전히 죽는 상태예요. 그래서 이 화산 사이에 우리나라 이렇게 있어요. 그리고 물론 기본적인 거 물론 다 아시겠지만 고구려, 신라, 백제, 가야 그리고 이런 거 보면은 고구려 만주 전체 다 뭐 시베리아까지 문제는 물론 이거 그 2000년 전인데 2000 years ago Goguryeo might have somehow been like this, but it wasn't a nara, it wasn't a country in the way that we are now having countries. How it was controlled, even 2000년 전에 2000 years ago, how did people talk? What language were they talking? It's not clear, it's not easy to know at this time. This is Goguryeo. Is it Korea or is it Manchuria? And then there are many tribes, not a unified state at all at that time, but still pretty inside. Oh yes. And then with history, then Shilla becomes a kingdom with kings down in southeast, Bekche, southwest, Kaya is like Shilla, Kaya becomes part of Shilla. And then Kaya, Kimhe, Kimsuro. 난 이제 한국 천주교 역사 많이 공부하는데 김대건 성인 신부 편지 사인할 때 항상 김해 사인해요. He always wanted to stress that he is 양반. So Anyway, by the time you get into history, what we used to call Manchuria, Yodong, that part of northeast China, had become Pare, separate. It was more separate. Goguryeo with Baekje and Shilla more, and then of course 669 Yukbaek, 69년부터 Shilla controls the whole of Korean Peninsula, more or less. There's one kingdom, no more Baekje, no more Goguryeo. Up on the north side, not a really clear frontier. 그리고 한국, 현대 한국, 역사적인 한국의 문화 보면은 the culture of Korea was from a very early time marked by Buddhism. Buddhism 전에 you have different kinds of legend and myth. Who founded Korea? Traditionally, there were two names. 하나는 단군, 하나는 기자. 이제 와서 기자인데.
조선. 기자 조선.
Because Kija, if Kija existed, he would have come from China. Tangun is from heaven, not heaven. Anyway, however it started, in the 4th century, so Buddhism came from China, India, China, Korea, Japan, and it came into each of the 3 kingdoms. First of all, of course, in the north into Goguryeo, maybe 물론 기록된 것 거의 없는데 믿을만한 것. I'm not sure about the records. 372, it says Sundo was sent from China to Goguryeo, and that brought also into Manchuria a bit. And also in 384, Baekje. Baekje was for a long time the main center of Korean Buddhism. And then Goguyeo later, Shilla. Bulgyo becomes official state religion in Shilla later, in Chilian 527, because in Shilla, especially the king in Shilla, was a kind of mudang, magic figure with magic power, and so Musok shamanism was so powerful, it took longer for Buddhism to gain power, influence in Shilla. But still. After that, of course, Gyeongju was the capital of Shilla, and then around Gyeongju you have these very fine Buddhist monuments, particularly Gyeongju Namsan. You can see many sculptures and so, and most famous Sokuram and Bulguksa temple, Bulguksa, Sokuram. And Shilla also is famous for these great tomb mounds, which are quite unique, although you do find them also in Baekje, but not on the same scale, not so big. So that Korea starts divided, Baekje, Shilla especially. Goguryeo, not so strongly cultural. Goguryeo, what is now North Korea mostly. And North Korea is harder to live. 살기 어려운 땅이에요. The mountains and poor ground and bad climate. So, but Buddhism flourished then, especially in Shilla and in Baekje. And of course, 백제, 사실 신라보다 백제 문화적으로 the culture of 백제 developed to a very high level, and then at a given point started to move with Buddhism into Japan. So if you are looking at the history of Japanese culture, 일본 문화 보면은 there's a very strong influence from Pekche. And of course you have the famous one, and you've seen this, everybody's seen this, National Museum, but this is in Nara. The Buddha is it a Buddha? Nobody knows. Nobody knows actually what this statue represents. 어떤 사람들 Maitreya, Mirepur, or some Bodhisattva. The official title, Pensive Bodhisattva. 부처님 아니고 그 무슨 Bodhisattva 알 수 없어요. 그 어디서 만들었나? Probably picture. It's very delicate, very beautiful, and the wooden statue, 나무로 만드는 거, is very, very. Japan is crazy about this. It's a national treasure in Japan. But in Sasha, it was probably made in picture because they wanted to take a statue to Japan, but if it's in bronze, it would be too heavy. So they made a copy in wood and took that to Japan, and that's it. And in Nara also, the tap, Namurumandalam tap, is essentially Pekche style. So then, 668년, Silla takes control of Korea. 옛날 Goguyeo, 옛날 Pekche, Silla, Gayata. This becomes a kind of united kingdom. It's a 통일 Shilla라고, unified Shilla. And but the capital was still in Gyeongju. But Gyeongju is too far south, is away from the center. So 역사적으로, Gyeongju had to be the capital, always was capital, 그래서 소라볼, 옛날 소라볼이라고 also called. So it was very hard to have real control, especially up in old Goguyeo, up beyond what is now Seoul, up beyond Kaesong, in northern Korea. Silla could not really keep control, keep power, because 그때부터 오늘 물론 다르지만 18세기, 19세기 말까지 the biggest problem in Korea was transport, because there were no real roads. 길 없었어요. 고속도로 없고 흙길 거의. Transport in Korea until after 1900 was terribly difficult. The roads were, as soon as it rained, the roads full of mud, and then the winter was much colder than now. 겨울이면 너무 추워서 눈이 많이 오고, so it's very hard to travel. And if you can't travel, if you can't send the army to keep control, then trouble starts. So Shilla, 통일 Shilla, unified Shilla, really had not so much unity. Local groups controlled everything. and the kings down in Gyeongju, they spent their time drinking and having a nice time. It's warmer in Gyeongju. So that by 892 already it was broken up. It wasn't really Tongil. It was 3 different areas, again Baekje, and again Goguyeo, and again then Shilla in the east, until 918, Wangon. By this time, Shilla, Unified Shilla had really broken up, and you had Goguyeo, 옛날 텔레비 드라마에서 잘 봤어요. 너무 잘했어요. 다 봤어요? 그 Goguyeo, 그 왕건, 그 여자 너무 좋았어요. 잘 만들었어요. 그래서 Goguyeo, the sort of monk ruler, then and Wangon takes power, and Wangon then becomes Taejo, the founder of a new dynasty, taking over from Shilla. The last kings of Shilla disappear, and so Wangon begins a new dynasty, and it's called then Goryeo. Goryeo from Goguyeo, Goryeo. And Goryeo in Chinese translation is Gaoli in Chinese. There's a Gaoli, Chinese kept writing and talking about Gaoli, and the Westerners learnt about Korea from the Chinese, and it's Gaoli which became Korea in Western language, from Gaoli, from Goryeo. So Goryeo dynasty, especially then Wangon takes over old Shilla and Baekje, and he then, to mark a new dynasty, moves the capital city. He moves it from Gyeongju to Kaesong. Kaesong was already there. Kaesong was an old city, but in the middle. 그래서 훨씬 더 쉬워요. 컨트롤하기 위하여 Kaesong 북쪽도 갈 수 있고 남쪽도 갈 수 있고. So Kaesong became the capital of Goryeo. And Goryeo 가면 갈수록 문화적으로, in cultural terms, Goryeo developed from Baekje, I think a lot from Baekje, especially most famous in Goryeo is the pottery, tojargi, the Celadon pottery, very complex, very sophisticated, very beautiful, on a level with Chinese pottery. Goryeo Kaji, 한국의 tojargi, it was not so beautiful, it was not so refined and elegant. Goryeo develops a culture of elegance, sophisticated, very elegant, very sophisticated. 또 유명한 것은 물론 이 트리피타카 코리아나, 그 불경, every Buddhist text was carved onto wooden tablets. And also Goryeo, from China, through China, learnt and developed printing. And printing with movable type. Use it for Chinese, so 아직 한글 없었어요. There's no Hangul yet, but each Chinese character is a separate little block. And you then put them together to make a sentence and print. And you can print multiple copies, or you can also carve. But the most important thing, movable type. 그거 구나하면은 Gutenberg, invented movable type. 아주 물론 그 여기 직지 is the oldest surviving printed book using the movable type. 문제인지 어쨌든 사실 난 이 직지 올해 4월달 봤어요. 프랑스. It's in France, it's in Paris, it's in the National Museum of France. 옛날부터. 그래서 한국 사람들 안 된다고. 이번 봄에 there was an exhibition 전시회에 있어서 한국 사람들 다 가서 나머지 안 보고 이것만 보고. So, and also, again, very refined, very sophisticated Buddhist paintings on silk. 아주 아름다운 대규모, big paintings from temples, and there are about 160개, 160 survive. They're very rare, and almost all of them are now in Japan. And many have been in Japan for centuries. The Japanese pirates came and borrowed them from Korea. And 사실 그 판만테고 the collection of printing blocks now in Hainsa there were two were made. One was made and then destroyed, so they made it again. 이거 굉장한 사업인데, you have 81,000 printing block, carved in reverse. 이렇게 reverse인데, and without any mistake. 틀린 거 하나도 없대. 틀리면은 버리고 다시. And it was made because in 1231 13세기에 몽골, Genghis Khan 이렇게 그 몽골 expanding all over as far as Europe. They also came down into Korea, and this was made as a kind of prayer for protection. 보호, 한국 보호 하기 위하여 이거 만들었어요. But it's an incredible, as it says, 한자 하나씩 5천만 자. 굉장한 이거 도서관이야. 그리고 오늘날 이거 물론 책 만들어요 가끔. 그거 아직도 프린팅해요. 나도 이제 와서 이만큼 한문 알아? 한문 알아야지. 이거 불경 전체 다 이렇게 만들었어요. 몽골 사실 이 고려에 대해서 큰 관심 없었어요. 막 싸우는 거 아니고 take over, just take over. 그래서 한국 왕실 그리고 몽골 왕실을 결혼해서 알라이. 그리고 물론 몽골, 중국 다 오큐파이해서 유안 원 디너스티 만들었어요. 그리고 그 후에도 한국 왕 와이프는 몽골 princess. The last empress of Yuan in China, 한국 여자였어요. 그래 14세기 와서 유안 그 몽골 좀 약해지고 그리고 1368년 기원해야 합니다. 원 디너스티 없고 민 디너스티 명동 그 대신에 그 민 디너스티 첫째 황제 원래 농부였어요. 무슨 높은 가족 아니고 땅 일하는 농부였어요. 그래서 그 차의 역사 보면은 이사동 녹차한 이 황제 독차 안 되고 입차 줬다고. 그래서 고맙다고 제일 좋은 녹차, 우롱차 다 그 밍의 첫번 황제 덕분에 하시는 거예요. 그리고 고려 마지막 왕들 조금 이상해. 약하고 그리고 이 마지막 왕들 불교의 그 스님들 아주 가까이 같이 살고 얘기 많이 듣고 똑똑한 사람도 아니고 스님의 영향 많이 받았어요. 그래서 그 1388년 in 1388 king 우왕 고려 거기 만주 이 라운이 오큐파이 해야겠다고 아탁 해야겠다고 이 그 장군 이성계 장군 만주 가서 싸우라고 그리고 미친 거야. 거기 중국 어떻게 이 자그마한 그 고려 어떻게 중국하고 싸울 수 있나 이 새로운 명. 그래서 갔다가 돌아왔어요. 반대. 그거 the beginning of the end for Goryeo. By refusing, by rebelling, 이성계 showed that Goryeo Wang was no longer good for purpose. 그래서 이성계 coup d'etat, take power, kill the last royal family kings of Goryeo.